Listen to more at Relationship Stories.
I got a call in the middle of the night that shook me to my core. My dad had been rushed to the hospital. Panic gripped me, and my trembling fingers dialed my husband's number. "Hey, I need to get to the hospital right now." "Dad's been taken in," I said, my voice quivering with worry. Without hesitation, my husband, Mark, reassured me, "I'll be there in 5 minutes. Just hold on tight, I'm coming." Relief washed over me as I clung to his words. In those moments of crisis, I knew I could rely on him. But as I stood outside in the cold, my breath forming misty clouds in the night air, I couldn't shake off a nagging feeling. 5 minutes turned into 10, then 15, and there was still no sign of Mark. I tried calling him repeatedly, my heart pounding with every unanswered ring. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he picked up. "Where are you?" I demanded, my voice a mix of desperation and frustration. Mark's voice, filled with regret, came through the phone. "I'm so sorry, but my car won't start. I called a tow truck, but it will take some time." My emotions were a tumultuous storm. Anger, fear, and disappointment clashed within me. This was the moment I needed him the most, and he had let me down. "I can't wait, Mark. I'll have to find another way," I said, my voice steady now, determined to get to my dad. As I hung up and hailed a cab, a rush of strength overpowered my fear. I couldn't rely on Mark this time, but I wouldn't let anything stop me from being there for my dad. In that taxi, speeding through the night, I realized my own resilience. I would face this crisis alone if I had to. Later, as I stood by my dad's bedside, the gravity of the situation sunk in. I was grateful for the chance to be there for him, but a seed of doubt about my relationship with Mark had been planted that night. Trust, once broken, takes time to mend, and I knew deep down that this incident would leave a mark on our marriage, one that would require open communication and healing to overcome. Mark didn't come to the hospital. When I arrived home after a long and emotionally draining night at the hospital, my heart was heavy with both worry for my dad and disappointment in Mark. I couldn't understand why he hadn't come to the hospital, especially in such a crucial moment. As I stepped through the front door, I hoped there might be some explanation, something that would make sense of his absence. To my surprise, the house was silent and dark. I called out for Mark, but there was no response. My anxiety grew, and I went from room to room, searching for any sign of him. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. Then, in the dim light of the living room, I noticed a folded piece of paper on the coffee table. I picked it up, my hands trembling, and began to read Mark's hastily written words. "I'm so sorry for not being there when you needed me tonight. I can't face you because I've been struggling with something for a while. I didn't want to burden you, but I can't keep it a secret any longer. I've lost my job, and I didn't know how to tell you. I've been sinking into a deep depression, feeling like I'm failing you. I didn't want to add to your worries, so I withdrew. I need help, and I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. I love you." As I read those words, a mix of emotions washed over me. I felt anger for his silence, but also a profound sadness for his pain. Depression had a grip on him, and he had been drowning in it alone. My heart ached with empathy, realizing the immense struggle he must have been facing. In that moment, my anger softened into concern. I loved Mark, and I couldn't bear to see him suffer like this. I made a decision: I would support him through his battle with depression. Together, we would find the help he needed, mending not only our relationship but also his wounded spirit. And so, the journey to healing began. Not just for my dad in the hospital, but also for my husband at home. It was a journey of understanding, forgiveness, and unconditional love, reminding me that even in the darkest moments, compassion had the power to light the way. With a mixture of trepidation and concern, I confronted Mark about his sudden unemployment. His eyes, usually filled with warmth, now seemed clouded with a mixture of shame and defeat. "Why were you fired, Mark?" I asked, my voice a blend of worry and curiosity. "You never mentioned anything about this, and now I find out on such a critical night." Mark hesitated, his gaze dropping to the floor before he finally spoke, his voice barely audible. I've been struggling at work for a while. My performance wasn't up to par, and I missed several deadlines. They said it was affecting the team, and they had to let me go. I felt a pang of sympathy mixed with frustration. I wished he had shared his struggles with me earlier, before they reached a breaking point. Mark, I said gently, reaching out to touch his hand, why didn't you talk to me about this? We're a team, and we face challenges together. He looked up, his eyes filled with remorse. I didn't want to burden you, especially with your dad's situation. I thought I could handle it on my own, but it just spiraled out of control. I sighed, feeling a mix of understanding and disappointment. Mark, we can only face our problems if we acknowledge them together. I need you to trust me, to share your worries and fears. Keeping things from me only makes it harder for both of us. He nodded, his grip tightening around my hand. I'm so sorry, I should have talked to you. I didn't realize how much I was pushing you away until it was too late. I squeezed his hand gently, offering a small smile. We'll figure this out, Mark. But we need to communicate, openly and honestly. I love you, and I want us to support each other through everything life throws at us. Mark looked into my eyes, his vulnerability laid bare. I love you too, he said, his voice raw with emotion. I promise I won't shut you out anymore. We're in this together, no matter what. And in that moment, amidst the uncertainties and challenges, we found a renewed sense of unity. We faced the truth, confronting the difficulties head-on, determined to rebuild the trust that had been strained. It was a step toward healing, a testament to the strength of our love, and a reminder that even in the face of adversity, openness and support could bridge the gap between us. Concern etched deep lines on my face as I looked at Mark, recognizing the signs of his struggle with depression. His eyes, once vibrant, were now dull, and the weight of his emotions seemed to be crushing his spirit. I took a deep breath, gathering my resolve, and said, Mark, I think it's crucial for you to see a professional. A mental health expert can help you navigate through this difficult time. Mark hesitated, his brows furrowing in apprehension. I don't know, it's just. I'm not sure if it will help. I feel like such a burden already. I gently cupped his face in my hands, forcing him to meet my gaze. You are not a burden, Mark. Your well-being is important to me, to us. Seeking help doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're strong enough to acknowledge your struggles and work towards overcoming them. We're in this together, remember? He sighed, his shoulders slumping as he nodded slowly. I guess you're right. I just don't know where to start. I'll help you find a therapist, I said reassuringly. They are professionals trained to guide people through exactly what you're feeling. You don't have to face this alone. Let's make an appointment tomorrow, okay? For us. Mark managed a small smile, a glimmer of hope breaking through his despair. Okay, he said, his voice barely audible. I'll try, for us. In that moment, I felt a mixture of relief and determination. Mark's willingness to seek help was the first step toward healing. Together, we would navigate this challenging journey, supporting each other every step of the way. It was a testament to the strength of our relationship, reminding us that even in the darkest times, love and understanding could pave the path to recovery.